Hello everyone and namaste. Welcome back to my channel Learn with Sush. Today we will be discussing a vital topics in nutrition, that is fat, lipids or oils. These substances are often misunderstood, but they play a crucial role in our bodies, from providing energy to supporting cell structure and even regulating vital processes. Let me the list out the topic I will be discussing before we move into the main topic. So today we will be talking about introduction, common lipids, classification, daily requirements, functions, digestion, absorption and metabolism, and last is disorder or disease. So sticks around and let's get in. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Lipids, commonly known as fats, are organic compounds found in all living organisms. They play essential role in cell structure, energy storage, and various biological processes. Lipids provide 9 calories per gram, which is more than the 4 calories per gram provided by protein and carbohydrates. They include fat oils, waxes, certain vitamins, hormones, and cell membranes. You can see here basic idea about fat. Fat is a nutrient. Fat adds taste and texture to food. Yummy, helps to absorb fat-soluble vitamin, is a source of energy, and makes us feel full longer. Let's move on common types of lipids. The three main types of lipids are triacylglycerol or triglycerol, phospholipids, and sterol. So TAG, it is also known as triglycerol. They make up over 95% of dietary fats or lipids. It is found in fried food, oil, dairy, meats, food like avocado, nuts, etc. They are made up of glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Another one is phospholipid. Phospholipid making up about 2% of dietary fat. They are water soluble and essential for building cell membranes. They contain fatty acid, glycerol, nitrogen bases, and phosphoric acid. Another one is sterol. It is the least common type, with cholesterol being the most well known. Though the body get only small amount from food, cholesterol is a crucial for cell membrane and for producing vitamin D, hormone and bile salts. So it's really important. So now move to the classification of the lipids. So there are so many classifications. So one is based on origin or sources. So sources or origin is animal sources and plant sources. So mainly supply saturated fat, including dairy products like cream, butter, cheese, egg, yolk, and meats are animal sources, whereas plant sources provide mostly unsaturated fat such as sunflower oil, coconut and palm oil, soybean, peanut, olive oil, avocado, etc. Second one is based on visual and invisible. So visual fat is easy to see, including butter, cream, oil and fatty meats. These are easier to control in the diet. Non-visual fat is less obvious, found in food like cheese, milk, milk cream, egg yolk, nuts, seeds, avocado and lean meat. These are harder to trace but still contribute to fat intake. So now let's move to the based on composition. So lipids are divided into 3 types based on composition. One is simple lipids, complex lipid and derived or precursor lipids. So simple lipids are the group of lipids that consist primarily of fatty acid and glycerol. The most common example of simple lipids is triglyceride. They can be found in food like oil, butter, and animal fats. Now moving to the complex lipid. Complex lipids are the lipids that contain additional component other than fatty acid and glycerol. These lipids play an essential role in the structure and function of the cell, especially in the formation of cell membrane. There are three main types of complex lipids that are phospholipid, glycolipids, and lipoprotein. Another one is derived lipid. Derived lipids are the lipids that include substance like fatty acids, glycerol, steroid, vitamins, and hormones. These lipids are derived from simpler lipids and are often involved in various biological processes. Now, classification based on fatty acid. We have two types of fatty acid. One is saturated fatty acid and unsaturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acid refer to the chemical bond in which carbon atoms are fully bonded to hydrogen atom with no double bond between carbon atoms. This makes the molecule saturated with hydrogen. Saturated fats are typically solid at room temperatures and are found in animal fats and some plants oil. Whereas unsaturated fat contain one or more double bond in hydrogen carbon chain. Unsaturated fatty acids are divided into three types of fatty acids. They are monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and trans fat. So monounsaturated means one double bonds, that is olive oil. So polyunsaturated, that is PUFA, two or more double bond, that is fish oil. So these come mainly from plants. And trans fat. Trans fat is also a type of unsaturated fat that has been chemically altered through the process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oil into solid fats. This process changes the shapes of the fat molecules, making it act more like a saturated fat in the body. Trans fats are commonly found in processed food like baked goods, snacks, and fried food. They raise bad cholesterol LDL and lower good cholesterol HDL, which increase the risk of heart disease. You can see the difference between saturated and unsaturated fat here. Come to the classification based on essential fatty acid and non-essential fatty acid. We know that essential fatty acid mean essential for organism but cannot be synthesized in the organism, so must be provided by external source, that is omega 3 and omega 6. And non-essential fatty acid, it can be synthesized by our body, so we don't need to supply from external source, that is lauric, palmitic, and stearic acid. So this is all about the classification of lipids or fats or oil. After completing the classification, you can see the daily fat intake recommendation in the table. Now let's move to the function of lipids. Lipids has many functions like protein and carbohydrates. The main function of lipids is to provide high energy. 1 gram of fat equals to 9 calories per gram. It helps in temperature maintenance. Subcutaneous fat helps to insulate and protects against cold, with brown fat playing a key role, especially in babies. It helps in smell and taste. So fat enhance aroma, flavor, and texture in food and making them more enjoyable, especially in baked or fried food. membrane lipid layer formation. Polyunsaturated fatty acids are essential for forming flexible and fluid cell membranes. Satiety. Fat contributes to a feeling of fullness, slowing digestion, and prolonging satiety. And last is protection. Adipose tissues around vital organs provides cushioning, protecting them from shock and injuries. Now move to the digestion, absorption, and metabolism of lipids. Before that, we need to know what are the dietary form of the lipids. We have triacylglycerol, cholesterol, cholesterol ester, unesterified free fatty acids. So we have longer chain fatty acid that is more than 12 carbon atoms. Medium chain fatty acid that is 6 to 12 carbon atom, and short chain fatty acid that is less than 6 carbon atom. Longer chain fatty acid is break down by pancreatic lipase, whereas medium chain and short chain fatty acid is broken down by gastric and lingual lipase. Now, so let's move to the digestion. So what does it mean? So fat digestion is the process by which the body break down dietary fat into the simpler component for the absorption and use. So there are certain factors that affect fat digestion. They are bile production. So bile produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder is essential for emulsification. If there is less bile, then low digestion. Pancreatic enzyme. Insufficient pancreatic enzyme production can slow down the fat digestion. Type of fats: saturated and trans fat. Saturated fat are generally digested more slowly than unsaturated fat. And trans fat may be also harder for the body to process effectively. So you must take unsaturated fat. It is good for health, okay? Digestive health condition like celiac disease, gallstone, pancreatitis can impair digestion. Meal compositions. So a meal rich in fiber or protein slows down for the digestion, while highly processed food with a fewer nutrient might be digested more quickly. Hydration. Dehydration can reduce bile production, so it hinder on fat digestion. These factors can either enhance or inhibit the digestion of fat. Each day, GI processes around 50 to 100 gram of triglyceride, 95%, 4 to 8 gram of phospholipids, 2%, and 200 to 350 gram of cholesterol. Fat digestion take longer than carbohydrate and protein digestion. For example, a raw salad is digested in 2 to 3 hours, but adding oil delays digestion by another 2 to 4 hours. The primary site for fat digestion is the small intestine. Fat digestion begins in the mouth with lingual lipase, which is secreted by the sublingual glands, which play a minor role in adult but crucial for infant, particularly in digesting milk. In the stomach, gastric lipase and lingual lipase break down the fat into a partially digested substance called chyme. These enzymes work on a short and medium chain fatty acid, but very less effective on long chain fatty acid. So you can see the reaction here. Fat or triglyceride with the help of gastric and lingual lipase from stomach and tongue is broken into diglyceride or partially breakdown of fat. Chyme pass into the duodenum for the further digestion. When the fat enters endocrine epithelial cell in the intestine, release CCK, cholecystokinin, and secretin, which stimulate the production of bile salt, pancreatic enzyme, and intestinal enzyme. These hormones also slows down gastric emptying time to aid digestion in the small intestine. Bile helps to break down partially digested fat into smaller droplets through emulsification. This increases the surface area for enzyme to act upon. The emulsified fat further break down by pancreatic enzymes like lipase, colipase, cholesterol ester hydrolase, phospholipase A2, and lysophospholipase. So you can see here, with the help of pancreatic lipase, it changes into 2 fatty acid, 1 monoacyl glycerol. So this is all about the fat digestion. Now move to the absorption of fat. Absorption of fat refer to the process by which digested fat, which is fatty acid and glycerol, are taken by the cell of the small intestine and then transported to the blood and then to the liver or body for use. The fat absorption can be affected by many factors like bile production and secretion, pancreatic enzyme activities, intestinal health, presence of fiber, types of fat, digestive motility, lymphatic system function. So these factors all influences how efficiently the body absorbs fat. Small intestine, after fat is digested into monoglyceride, fatty acid, and other products, these molecules form micelles and mixed micelles or micelles with the help of bile salt. So for absorption, there are few processes you need to know about it. So one is formation of micelles. Micelles are tiny spherical structures that act as a vehicle for transporting digested fat molecules such as fatty acid, monoglyceride, and cholesterol, etc., across the aqueous environment for the small intestine. Mixed micelles are the more specific type of micelles formed when the bile salt combined with fatty acid, monoglyceride, cholesterol, lipid soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K, and other products. These micelles bump into the surface of jejunal cell and the digested fat and fat soluble vitamins enter the cell by simple diffusion. The bile salt in the micelles are not absorbed by the jejunal cell. Instead, they move to the ileum, the last part of small intestine, where they are absorbed. Once the fatty acid and monoglyceride enter into the epithelial cell, they move into the endoplasmic reticulum, where they are reassembled or resynthesized into triglyceride. The triglyceride then combine with the cholesterol and phospholipid and are coated with a protein to form chylomicron in Golgi apparatus. The chylomicron are mixture of lipid and protein or lipoproteins. The protein coatings make them water soluble and helps them exit the cell through exocytosis. So formation of micelles, then it enter into the cell and it goes to the endoplasmic reticulum and resynthesized and then to the Golgi body for protein coating and exit the cell through exocytosis. Due to their large size, chylomicrons cannot diffuse into the capillaries, but they can enter the lacteal of lymphatic systems, which have large gaps and lack a basal lamina. From there, they are transported by the thoracic duct of lymphatic vessels into the bloodstream. About 30 to 40% of lipids in the chylomicrons are carried via the blood streams to the liver for processing throughout the portal circulation, while the remaining lipids are distributed to the other tissues throughout the body for storage or energy use. You can see the different phases of fat absorption here. So now move to the fat metabolism. Fat metabolism is the process by which our body breaks down and uses fat for energy. It happens mainly in the liver, muscles, and adipose tissue. Fat metabolism is a dynamic process influenced by many internal and external factors. It plays a central role in how the body uses stored fat for energy, especially during the periods of fasting or intense exercise. So there are certain factors that influences fat metabolism. Fat metabolism involves both anabolism and catabolism process. The anabolic pathway for fat is lipogenesis, whereas lipolysis is the catabolic pathway of fat. After fat is digested and absorbed, it enters into the bloodstream as a chylomicrons or VLDL, very low density lipoprotein. Lipoprotein lipase, LPL, on the wall of blood vessels break down triglyceride into free fatty acid and glycerol. Insulin stimulate LPL activities which enhance fat storage by promoting the uptake of fatty acid into adipocyte. Once inside the adipocytes, the free fatty acid and glycerol are re-esterified into triglycerides and stored in the fat droplet for later energy use by the process of lipolysis. So now move to the lipolysis. During strenuous exercise, muscle quickly use up the body's stored glycogen, and the energy stored as a fat in adipocyte where fat is deposited is mobilized to provide fuel. First, epinephrine and glucagon are released into the bloodstream where they bind to the receptor on the adipocyte cell membrane. This binding activates adenylate cyclase, which convert ATP into cyclic AMP. The CAMP activate protein kinase, which then activates TAG lipase. This enzyme break down triglyceride into glycerol and fatty acid, releasing them for energy used by the muscles. The fatty acid molecules released from the adipocytes are picked up by the protein serum albumin into the bloodstream. Serum albumin then transported these fatty acids through the blood vessel to myocyte muscle cells is needed. Once inside the muscle cell or myocyte, the fatty acid undergo beta oxidations, a process that break them down into acetyl CoA. This produce carbon dioxide CO2 and ATP energy, which the monocyte use for the contraction and other cellular function. This is how metabolism provide energy to muscle during activities like exercise. Beta oxidation stops when the fatty acid completely degraded and converted into acetyl CoA. So here is the reaction you can see. So now move to the end part of our video. That is disorder, a disease of fat. Fat deficiency is less common in developed and developing countries where excess fat is seen a rising problem. Deficiency of fat in nutrition causes low sex hormone level and malabsorption of fat soluble vitamins. It coupled with a high intake of protein causes rabbit starvation. Rabbit starvation is a rare form of acute malnutrition thought to be caused by a complete absence of fat or in the diets. Excess fat. We know that fat when consumed in excess result in cardiovascular problems. Obesity causes or is closely linked with a large number of health conditions, including heart disease, stroke, diabetic, high pressure, unhealthy cholesterol, asthma, sleep apnea, gallstone, kidney stone, infertility, and 11 types of cancer like leukemia, breast, and colon cancer. So, this is all about the fat. Here are some reference which I have listed here. You can see from here I have collected this information. I discuss about different topic about the fat. Hope you like my video. Thank you for watching my video. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.